Easy open layup and a stoink right off the bottom of the backboard, and we're just asking for a foul. We're asking for a foul.
Sonya Citron was out there cooking with hot grease. Stir the pot. Stir the pot. Keep cooking, Sonya. The Washington Mystics just put belt to ass on Angel Reese.
Angel Reese just had the kind of night that athletes wake up sweating about. A game so bad, so publicly embarrassing, that even the announcers couldn't hold back their laughter. And to make it worse, it all went down live, on national TV, with the world watching. We're talking taunts, missed layups, and being outplayed by not one, but two rookies from a team that wasn't even supposed to be dominant. This wasn't just a loss. It was a full-on meltdown. And Angel Reese, she was at the center of the storm. Now, you might be thinking, but didn't Reese drop a double-double? Sure, 22 points, 13 rebounds. Sounds nice on paper, until you realize her team got absolutely torched 103-86, and all while she was on the court. But that's just the start, because what happened during this game, and what came after, has fans, analysts, and even WNBA legends questioning whether Angel Reese is actually helping her team or just building a brand while the house burns down around her. So buckle up. We're diving into the night the Mystics put Angel Reese on a platter and served up one of the most humiliating performances of a season. Let's start with the scoreboard. The Washington Mystics didn't just beat the Chicago Sky. They dismantled them. It was physical, it was aggressive, and it was personal. The Mystics poured in 103 points, 52 of them coming in the paint. That's right, the very area Angel Reese is supposed to own. Meanwhile, Chicago looked like they were sleepwalking. The defense, non-existent. The offense, clunky and confused. And yet, on paper, Reese had another double-double. 11 straight games now. But here's the brutal truth. Those stats mean nothing when the team is getting blown off the floor. And then there's this. While Reese was putting up her numbers, two Mystics rookies, Sonya Citron and Kiki Iriafen, decided it was time to make history. Citron dropped 28. Iriafen added 22 with 10 boards. Together, they became the first rookie duo in Mystics history to both drop 20-plus in the same game. Meanwhile, Reese, she became a walking highlight reel. For all the wrong reasons. Let's talk about that moment. You know the one. When Shakira Austin scored over Reese in the first quarter and on her way back down the court, hit her with the too small gesture. Not subtle, not quiet. It was a full-on national TV diss. And the announcers couldn't help but notice. One of them literally laughed before catching himself. Humiliating doesn't even begin to describe it. This wasn't just trash talk. This was a public statement. You don't belong here. And the worst part? Reese didn't respond. She didn't level up. She didn't take over. She faded. And that moment, the taunt, the laughter, the silence from Reese, is now frozen in time for every WNBA fan to remember. So what went wrong? Well, let's look at the numbers again. Reese went 6 of 16 from the field. That's under 38%. Sure, she got the line, 11 free throw attempts, but she also racked up 5 fouls and had no real defensive presence. The Mystics walked through the paint. No resistance, no rim protection. No hustle from someone who's supposed to be the heart of that interior defense. Coach Tyler Marsh didn't name names in the postgame presser, but he didn't have to. When he said, "We didn't protect the paint," every camera in that room panned to Angel Reese. And that's the thing. This isn't just one game. This is a pattern. Angel Reese gets her numbers, her double-doubles, the rebounds, the gritty hustle plays. But when you zoom out, the Chicago Sky are 7-19. 6 games out of playoff contention, and on a 6-game losing streak that started before Reese even returned from injury. Let's be real, stats without wins are just noise, and fans are starting to notice. Even the Reese loyalists are having a hard time defending this one. Twitter was flooded with reactions after the Mystics game, some calling it a stat-padding performance, others calling it the most embarrassing showing of the year. One user wrote, quote, "Caitlin Clark makes her team better. Reese just makes noise. Ouch." And speaking of noise, what came after the game turned up the volume to a whole new level. Candace Parker, a 3-time WNBA champion, 2-time MVP, one of the greatest to ever play the game, and she wasn't holding back. On her podcast Post Moves, Parker released a tier list of current WNBA players. She had Aya Wilson in the S tier, Nneka Agwumike in the A tier, Caitlin Clark, also a tier, with potential to go S in time. Angel Reese? C tier. Let that sink in. Parker's reasoning? Reese isn't a player you can build a team around. Not yet. She's not a first or second option. Her strength, Parker said, is offensive rebounding. Period. And how did Reese respond? Not by improving, not by studying tape, not by stepping up. She went to Twitter and posted this. Cloud is one hell of a drug. Seriously? That's the response? Imagine being called out by a legend, and instead of proving them wrong, you accuse them of clout chasing. It's the social media equivalent of sticking your fingers in your ears and yelling, "La la, I can't hear you." But here's the kicker, this isn't the first time. Reese has been caught in more Twitter feuds than defensive rotations. From cryptic subtweets to reposting memes attacking rivals, she spent just as much time stirring drama as she is fixing the issues in her game. And all the while, players like Caitlin Clark are out there transforming franchises. Let's take a look at the Indiana Fever. Clark walks in, and overnight, boom, the team becomes watchable. They go from bottom feeders to competitive. Not because she drops 30 every night, but because she makes her teammates better. Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Ho, they're playing their best basketball. Next to Clark, that's leadership, that's impact. That's the kind of stuff that doesn't show up in the box score, but changes everything. Meanwhile, Angel Reese gets her double-double, posts a cryptic tweet, and leaves her team in the basement of the standings. And it's not just the fans noticing. WNBA insiders are whispering it now too. Reese is great for the brand, but maybe not for the win column. So what does this mean going forward? Well, for starters, it's a wake-up call. The Mystics game wasn't just a bad loss. It was a national embarrassment. A reality check that all the Instagram followers, nil deals, and TikTok cloud in the world can't save you when the lights are on and the scoreboard's lit. If Reese wants to be more than just a social media star, she's got work to do on defense, on consistency, on leadership, because right now, the highlight reels aren't doing her any favors. And let's be honest, fans aren't going to stick around forever for empty numbers and Twitter drama. The WNBA is evolving fast. Caitlin Clark isn't just raising the bar, she's resetting it. Aaliyah Boston, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum. These are players who build dynasties, not headlines. If Angel Reese wants to be in that conversation, she's got to prove she's more than just a walking double-double on a losing team. The next few games? Crucial. If she bounces back, locks in defensively, and leads Chicago to some wins, then maybe, just maybe, the narrative changes. But if things keep trending the way they are, then this Mystics game will go down as the moment the world realized Angel Reese couldn't handle the heat. And in the WNBA, that heat only gets hotter. Let's rewind for a second. Before this game, Angel Reese had been riding a wave of media attention. From gracing magazine covers to podcast interviews and viral TikToks, she had become one of the most talked about names in women's sports. The narrative? Gritty, real. The Bayou Barbie, who brought attitude, rebounding, and toughness to the league. But being talked about and being respected in the league are two very different things. And the Mystics game peeled that curtain all the way back. Because when it was time to deliver, on the big stage, under the bright lights, Reese didn't rise. She sank. And worse, she looked overwhelmed. Let's talk about the body language for a minute. Players know, coaches know, fans know. When someone checks out mentally during a game, it shows. And during that third quarter stretch, when the Mystics went on a 15-4 run, the camera caught Reese walking up the court. No urgency, no communication, no fire. Compare that to Sonia Citron, diving for loose balls, talking on defense, celebrating every bucket like it was a playoff game. That's hunger. That's the difference. And don't get it twisted. Reese has heart, but in the WNBA, heart without hustle is just hollow hype. Meanwhile, social media exploded. Some fans try to defend Reese. She's young. She's learning. The team around her is trash. But the majority, they weren't having it. One tweet went viral. Angel Reese ain't built like that. 22 and 13 don't mean a thing when you're minus 27 on the court. Y'all got fooled by stats. Another said, this ain't LSU anymore. You can't just flex and think that's leadership. The WNBA is full of grown women who've been grinding for years. And perhaps the most brutal. Candace Parker tried to warn y'all. Reese ain't a star. She's an influencer in a jersey. Yikes. But here's what really sparked a firestorm. The Candace Parker beef wasn't even a real beef. Parker didn't attack her. She didn't throw shade. She gave a professional, calm, basketball-based assessment. And that's what stung. Because when a respected legend breaks down your game with facts, you can't fight back with feelings. You gotta evolve. But Reese didn't take that route. Instead, she fired back with cryptic tweets and reposted shady memes like she was back in high school beefing in group chats. Fans were left asking, why is Angel acting like a victim when she's the one underperforming? And it gets worse. Insiders are whispering that this isn't just about one game. This is a trend. Multiple sources have said that there's tension in the Sky locker room. That Reese's growing brand and off-court attention is creating a rift between her and veterans who've been grinding in the league without the cameras. One anonymous player reportedly said, she's got all the followers, sure, but that doesn't mean she's leading this team. We're tired of seeing post-game selfies after losses. And you know what? That hits hard, because while Reese is posing with her box score, the Mystics were posing with the scoreboard. Let's not forget, the Mystics are no powerhouse team. They're a 500 ball club fighting to make the playoffs. They've had injuries, inconsistency, and a shaky season. But on this night, they look like champions. Why? Because they played as a unit. They trusted each other, and they weren't afraid of Angel Reese. That fear factor? It's gone. Early in the season, opponents gave Reese respect. They knew she was a force in the paint, a tenacious rebounder, a disruptor. But now, they're going at her, testing her, and what we saw against Washington is just the beginning. Shakira Austin's too small taunt wasn't just spicy, it was strategic. It set a tone. The Mystics wanted to send a message. You're not that girl. Not here. Not tonight. And the rest of the league saw it. You better believe next time Chicago plays, whoever Reese is guarding is going to be talking loud. Because here's what the greats do. When they get clowned, they bounce back stronger. They hit the gym, study film, and come out swinging. But what did Reese do after the Mystics game? She hit Twitter. Let's call it what it is, performative toughness. Real grit doesn't need to be tweeted. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Caitlin Clark. Every time Reese has a bad game, her name trends alongside Caitlin Clark. Not because Clark had anything to do with it, but because the internet remembers the rivalry, the NCAA moment, the finger wave, the taunts. But now, that rivalry feels one-sided. Clark is out here dishing 10 assists a game, pulling the Indiana Fever into playoff contention, and making her teammates better. She doesn't need to tweet. Her game speaks. Meanwhile, Reese is reacting. And it's starting to feel like she's playing catch-up, not just on the court, but in the narrative. Even casual fans are noticing the difference. Clark takes criticism and responds with improvement. Reese takes criticism and posts shade. And as unfair as comparisons can be, they're inevitable. When you brand yourself as that girl, when you flex after blocks, when you talk about being part of the best young core in the league, then yeah, people are going to watch and judge accordingly. And right now, the judgment is harsh. Let's pivot a bit, because it's not just Reese who's under fire. It's also the Chicago Sky organization. The coaching? Suspect. The rotations? Messy. The defense? Non-existent. You gave up 103 points to the Mystics, a team that usually averages around 78. That's not just a Reese problem. That's a team problem. But she's the face. And when you're the face, you take the heat. Chicago's front office went all in this offseason. They made moves like they were building a contender. But now, halfway through the season, they're a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, Indiana, they're on the rise. And here's the kicker. Indiana has something Chicago doesn't. Chemistry. You watch the Fever play, and you can feel the energy, the trust, the joy. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to dominate every play. She involves everyone. She celebrates her teammates. And that's why Indiana is improving while Chicago crumbles. So here's the hard question. Does Angel Reese make her team better? Because a player who drops 22 and 13 and still ends up with a minus 27 plus minus? That's telling. It means your stats aren't changing the outcome. It means you're putting up numbers in a vacuum. And that, my friend, is the definition of empty calories. And the league is watching. Because with all eyes on Reese, endorsements, commercials, interviews, you name it, there's a growing sentiment that she's being marketed as a star before earning that title on hardwood. And when Candace Parker says you're not that player yet, that matters. Not because she's a hater, but because she's a Hall of Famer. Let's wrap this up with what's next, because the path forward isn't easy. Reese has two options. Option 1, double down on the noise. Keep tweeting, keep blaming, keep pointing fingers. Ride the fame train until it derails. Option 2, shut it down, grind in silence. Watch tape, learn from the vets, prove Candace Parker wrong. by becoming the player everyone believes you can be. Because here's the thing, the potential is real. No one's denying that. But potential doesn't win games. It doesn't stop layups. It doesn't erase taunts on national TV. Only growth does. The next time Reese faces the Mystics or any team with a chip on their shoulder, she better be ready. Because now, everyone wants a piece. Everyone wants to hand her another L. Everyone wants to be the next one to say, too small, after scoring on her. This is the crucible moment. Angel Reese can either fold under pressure or become the player who uses this public meltdown as fuel. Because when the lights are on and the crowd is watching, you either cook or you get cooked. And on that night in Washington, Reese got cooked. The real question now is, what's Angel Reese going to do next? Because let's be honest, this moment right here, it's a career crossroad. Every athlete hits one. A moment where public reception shifts, the pressure builds, and excuses stop working. For Reese, that moment was broadcasted coast to coast in full HD, with announcers chuckling in real time. You think the league didn't take notice? You think rookies across the WNBA aren't watching that footage over and over again thinking, I can take her too? This is how reputations start to crumble. And more importantly, this is how new narratives are born. Because here's what's dangerous about Angel Reese's current trajectory. The longer she racks up losses while padding box scores, the more people stop taking her seriously as a franchise cornerstone and start seeing her as a social media sideshow. The league is changing, Bite Fam. There's a new wave of talent, and they're not here for likes. They're here for legacy. Let's look at someone like Aaliyah Boston. No drama, no beef, no passive-aggressive tweets. Just basketball, just leadership. She's the kind of player that elevates her whole team by example. She's not flashy on Instagram, but she's a problem on the court. And guess what? She wins. And then there's Caitlin Clark. Love her or hate her, that girl doesn't flinch. She doesn't pout. She doesn't post memes. She just keeps dragging Indiana forward, game after game, with composure and clutch play. And while Angel Reese is tweeting, "Cloud is one hell of a drug," Caitlin's out there setting rookie records and changing the entire energy of a franchise. That's what real stars do. Meanwhile, the Chicago Sky are looking more like a team trapped in a highlight reel that doesn't match the win column. Reese is on every ESPN reel, every sports blog. But when the lights go down and the scoreboard is locked in, Chicago's still catching L after L. So we have to ask, is this fixable? Absolutely. But it starts with accountability. And so far, Reese hasn't shown much of it. After the Mystics game, what did she do? No acknowledgement, no ownership, just vibes and passive-aggressive shade. No apology to fans. No, I've got to be better. Just silence and spin. That's not leadership. That's deflection. And here's where this gets serious. If Reese doesn't turn this around fast, she's going to get left behind by the very league she helped bring attention to. Because fans are fickle. Sponsors, even more so. Right now, Reese is still marketable. She's a name. She's recognizable. But what happens when the WNBA's rising stars keep winning, keep climbing, keep shining, while Reese is still posting rebounds and losses? It's only a matter of time before those brand deals fade, the endorsements dry up, and the league moves on. Because the WNBA is no longer desperate for attention. They've got it. Caitlin Clark brought new eyes. Players like Boston and Wilson are holding it down. Sabrina Ionescu is lighting it up. And guess what? They're doing it without the drama. So Reese needs to decide, is she in this to be famous or to be great? And that choice starts now. Let's talk off the court for a second. There are whispers, not just from fans, but from insiders, that Reese's focus is everywhere except where it should be. Fashion shows, podcasts, TikTok trends. It's all part of the brand. But is it helping the team? Is it helping her game? More importantly, is it distracting her from the one thing that actually matters? Winning? We've seen this before. Young stars get the fame too fast. They start believing the hype, and before they know it, their game flatlines while everyone else catches up. The WNBA doesn't care about your nil history or college championships. It cares about production. It cares about results. And it especially cares about how you handle adversity. And make no mistake, this is Reese's first real taste of professional adversity. LS, she was loud, but it was safe. She had Kim Mulkey riding for her. She had college fans eating up her every flex. But the pros? The pros don't care. They don't play favorites. And they definitely don't hold back on Twitter. You get cooked, you get taunted. You fall flat, the memes fly. You underperform, the analysts go in. And the worst part? You can't hide. This is the WNBA. Every game is streamed. Every possession is recorded. Every mistake is clipped and captioned before you even hit the bench. So now the spotlight's burning. And Reese is either going to harden into a real competitor or melt under the pressure. And you know what, Bite fam? A lot of fans want her to succeed. They want the comeback story. They want the bounce back. They want the gritty, scrappy Bayou Barbie who defies expectations and proves the haters wrong. But Reese has to want it more. She has to shut off the noise, turn down the brand, and turn up the basketball. She has to stop replying on Twitter and start responding on the scoreboard. Because if she doesn't, then that too small taunt from Shakira Austin will go down as the moment Angel Reese's reputation never recovered. And that would be tragic, not just for her, but for the league, because we all saw what she could be. The fire, the confidence, the hustle. But confidence without correction, that turns into arrogance. And arrogance without performance, that turns into irrelevance. So here we are. The clock is ticking. The fans are watching. The league is evolving. And Angel Reese, she's got a decision to make. Because you can't clap back at the scoreboard. You can't tweet your way out of being cooked on defense. And you can't meme your way into playoff contention. You either ball out or you bow out. And right now, the WNBA is waiting to see which one Angel Reese chooses. But let's not sugarcoat it. For all the hype Angel Reese came into the league with, her WNBA resume right now reads more like a cautionary tale than a coming-of-age story. The question we keep circling back to isn't just, is Angel Reese good? It's, is Angel Reese growing? Because that's what separates the stars from the flashes in the pan. Think back to other hype rookies in WNBA history. Some rose, some flamed out, but the ones who lasted, they adjusted, they humbled themselves. They found mentors, watched film, improved their footwork, cleaned up their foul counts, and figure out how to win, not just perform. And right now, Reese is in danger of becoming the player who never made that leap. This isn't even about Caitlin Clark anymore. It's bigger, because Clark, for all her magnetism and media pull, isn't the only threat in this league. There's Cameron Brink, who's redefining shot blocking and court awareness. There's Dorka Juhas with her composure and IQ. There's Diamond Miller, who's silently leveling up with every game. Even someone like Alyssa Pili is quietly grinding toward that spotlight. Reese isn't just chasing Clark. She's chasing a whole generation of hungry rookies and veterans who've already figured out how to contribute beyond the box score. And speaking of veterans, let's go back to Candace Parker one more time. What makes her comments sting so much isn't just the C-tier ranking. It's the fact that Parker has been exactly where Reese is now. The spotlight, the expectations, the pressure to perform while the media swirls. And instead of crumbling, Parker built a legacy. She didn't just dominate physically. She studied the game, became a student, grew into a leader. So when she says Reese isn't ready to be that centerpiece, that's not hate. That's wisdom. That's a blueprint. And Reese should be studying it like gospel. But here's the twist. This isn't a lost cause. Reese can turn this around. She has the tools. The rebounding instincts are elite. The nose for the ball, natural. Her energy, when focused, is a legitimate weapon. And let's not forget, she is a rookie. Most players aren't expected to carry teams in their first year. But that's the irony of branding yourself as that girl. When you talk the loudest, people listen closer. And right now, what they're hearing is excuses, not execution. Want to quiet the critics? Drop 18 and 14 in a win. Want to shift the narrative? Dive on the floor, take a charge, rotate on defense, and help hold a team under 80 points. Want to prove you're a franchise player? Uplift your teammates, show fire, take accountability. Be the one driving wins, not just surviving them. Because if not, that spotlight becomes a heat lamp. And under that heat, pretenders wilt. Only the real ones thrive. Let's pull back one more layer and look at the business side of things. Because make no mistake, this is the most marketable WNBA season in history. The league is flush with attention. Ticket sales are up. Viewership is through the roof. Brands are buying in. And players like Caitlin Clark, Aya Wilson, and Sabrina Ionescu are becoming household names for their game first. Reese, she's in conversation, but not for the reasons she should be. Nike, Gatorade, Beats. These brands want faces that win, not just flex. The longer Reese stays in the headlines for drama and not dominance, the more cautious these sponsors become, because eventually the ROI drops. Fans don't cheer for controversy. They cheer for greatness. And let's not ignore the elephant in the arena, locker room culture. You think veterans are just going to sit back while a rookie with 1 million followers waltzes in, makes herself the center of attention, and then shrugs when the team gets cooked? That breeds resentment. That builds walls. Rookies in the WNBA usually come in humble. They ask questions. They earn minutes. They listen before they speak. Because the league is built on grit and longevity, not flash and fame. Reese is capable of being that player, but only if she starts seeing herself through the lens of improvement, not entitlement. Want a real wake-up call? Pull the tape from the Mystics game and watch Sonia Citron again. She was relentless, confident, vocal. She was everywhere. And she didn't spend a second worrying about likes, mentions, or who's trending on TikTok. She just balled. That's the mindset Reese needs. Forget the noise. Embrace the grind. And let's be clear, none of this means we're rooting against her. If anything, the criticism means people believe in her potential. No one's breaking down tape on a bench warmer. No one's writing 5,000 words on a role player. People are watching because Angel Reese matters. She can flip this script. She can rewrite the story. But she's got to put in the work, and do it now. So here's what the next few weeks need to look like. First, cut the social media noise. No more tweets. No more reposts. Just film study workouts and games. Second, embrace the coaching. If a vet calls you out, thank them. If a coach tells you to rotate faster or box out harder, do it. This is a time to learn, not defend. Third, start leading by example. Play every possession like it's your last. Communicate on defense. Dive for loose balls. Celebrate your teammates. That's how you earn respect. And keep it, because if not, then yeah, Reese will keep trending, but not for the reason she wants. And the longer she lets this slide, the more that too small taunt becomes a symbol of her career, not just a bad night. So here we are. The court is set. The lights are still bright. The critics are still loud. And the next game, it's coming fast. How will Angel Reese respond? We'll all be watching. And this time, no one's laughing.